At first, the water looked safe. Clear blue surface. Calm morning light. A tropical reef in the Maldives, the kind of place people fly across the world to see. But beneath that surface was a cave system. And inside a cave, the ocean stops behaving like the ocean. There is no open sky. There is no simple way up. There is only the route in, the route out, the air left, in the tank, and the line that tells you which direction is home. This is the story of a dive in the Maldives that was not supposed to become a disaster. 5 Italian divers entered the water. They did not all come back. Reports later focused on one disturbing detail. A shark had been seen near the cave entrance. That detail is frightening. It is also misleading. Because in a cave diving accident, the thing that kills people is often not a creature. It is confusion. It is time. It is a wrong turn that lasts only a few seconds, but costs more air than anyone planned for. To understand what happened, imagine the dive from above. On the surface, the sight looks simple: reef, shallow water, a boat waiting nearby. Below it, the limestone opens into a dark passage. That passage bends. Then it narrows. Then it breaks into chambers. For recreational divers, an overhead environment changes every rule. If something goes wrong in open water, you can usually rise. If something goes wrong inside a cave, rising may only put you against rock. The safe path is not vertical. The safe path is backward. That is why cave divers follow a guideline. It is not decoration. It is not just a marker. It is the road home. Lose the line, and the cave becomes a maze. Lose visibility, and even a familiar route becomes a black room. Lose calm, and air disappears faster than the gauges can comfort you. The group entered the system expecting a controlled dive. The entrance was known. The water, at first, appeared manageable. The plan would have seemed reasonable from the surface. But accident chains rarely begin with one dramatic mistake. They begin with small assumptions. The first assumption is that the route will remain readable. The second is that the group will stay together. The third is that the return will take about as long as the entry. Inside a cave, all 3 assumptions can break at once. One diver kicks the bottom, and fine sediment rises. Another turns to look for a teammate. A light beam catches only particles in the water. The chamber that looked blue a moment ago becomes gray. Then brown. Then black. This is called a silt-out. It can happen without a crash, without an explosion, without anything that looks violent from the outside. The cave simply erases the map. When that happens, the guideline becomes everything. If a diver still has the line in hand, there is a chance. Move slowly. Control breathing. Follow the line out. But if the line is lost, or if a diver is separated from it by only a few feet, the danger changes completely. A few feet in open water is nothing. A few feet in a blind cave can become a wall. Now add the most unforgiving number in the entire story: air. Every breath inside the cave is a decision already made. You cannot bargain with the tank. You cannot pause the clock. The deeper and longer the penetration, the more expensive every mistake becomes. If panic begins, breathing speeds up. If breathing speeds up, the reserve shrinks. If the reserve shrinks, every movement feels urgent. And urgency is exactly what a cave punishes. Outside, the boat crew waits. At first, waiting is normal. Divers do not return the moment people on the surface expect them. Plans have buffers. Currents shift. Groups take longer. But then the waiting changes. The expected return time passes. The surface remains empty. No bubbles. No signal. No group. This is the moment when a beautiful dive site becomes a rescue scene. Search teams now face the same problem the missing divers faced, but with more pressure. They have to enter the same system. They have to move through the same passages. They have to manage the same visibility and the same overhead risk. Rescue divers are trained for danger. But training does not make a cave safe. It only gives you a better way to survive inside it. In this case, the rescue effort itself became deadly. Reports said a Maldivian military diver also died during the operation. That single detail tells you how dangerous the environment was. Because when rescuers are at risk, the accident is not just about the original group. It means the site itself has become a trap. The shark at the entrance may explain why the story spread so fast. It gives the mind a visible villain. People understand sharks. People fear teeth. But the real villain in this kind of accident is harder to draw. It is an overhead ceiling. It is a dark turn. It is sediment floating in the water. It is the distance between a hand and a line. It is a dive plan that depends on every small thing staying normal. And caves do not promise normal. The most frightening part is that the danger can be invisible, until the return begins. On the way in, everything feels controlled. The group has air. The lights work. The passage is interesting. The reef outside still feels close. But the cave does not measure danger by how far you feel from safety. It measures it by how long it takes to reverse every decision. Every meter inward must be paid for twice. Once going in. Once coming out. If the exit route becomes unclear, the debt comes due all at once. That is why experienced cave divers use strict rules. Gas reserves. Redundant lights. Continuous guideline. Team spacing. Turnaround pressure. Abort signals. These rules can look excessive from outside the sport. They are not. They are written in the language of accidents that already happened. In open water, confidence can help. In a cave, confidence without margins can become the first mistake. The Maldives accident is not only a story about 5 tourists. It is also a warning about how quickly paradise can hide an overhead environment. Clear water makes people trust what they see. But caves are not judged by the first 10 meters. They are judged by the worst 10 seconds. The moment a light fails. The moment a fin disturbs the floor. The moment a diver turns and the line is no longer where it was supposed to be. From the surface, the sea can look calm. Inside the cave, calm is not a condition. It is a skill. And, once that skill breaks, the cave does not need to chase anyone. It only needs to wait. So when people ask what killed them, the answer may not be the shark near the entrance. The answer may be the cave system itself. The route. The ceiling. The lost visibility. The air running down while the exit stayed hidden. A disaster like this does not need a monster. It only needs a place where one wrong minute cannot be undone. That is the lesson. In cave diving, the line is not a tool. It is the way back to the living world. And when that line disappears, even the clearest water on earth can turn into darkness.